I wanted to welcome everyone for coming tonight. Thank you. I mean, we're very honored when y'all take this time out on a summer evening to join us. And the Ideal Protein Program, you know, we've given you a lot of nutritional education and tips and, you know, science behind it. But we also feel very strongly about needing to educate on the behavior side of it. And tonight we're doing our second session in our series where we're talking about the cognitive aspect of losing weight and maintaining weight. So, you know, we all possibly had certain behaviors to get to the state maybe that we're in. 30 pounds ago, some of my methods and motives were being a stress eater, okay, because I use the excuse, well, I have a very stressful job, and I'm up a lot of hours, and so it's okay. You know, that was my rationale. And then also just kind of a reward system. Well, because I work hard, and because I do these things, then I deserve to do whatever I want with regard to what I put in my mouth. So I had to deal with those kind of issues and those kind of behaviors. So we really want to help y'all through all the phases, and of course in the beginning, in phase 1, just sticking to the program, because if you follow it 100%, you get 100% of the results. It has been reproduced all across the country, now all across the world. But if you follow it 75%, 80%, maybe a bite here, maybe a bite there, I'm going to cheat here, you're going to only get 75% of the results. So we want to learn ways to think and to act to get 100% results. So tonight, again, we have with us Michael Cole, who is a certified addiction counselor. And so in his day job, he actually specializes more on substance abuse, drugs and alcohol, where he works at the Breckenridge Prison, which he loves, which he very much loves. He aspires to restore men to be the husbands and fathers they need to be. And so that is another passion of his. But also, there are many other addictions. We're addicted maybe to the internet, to our iPhone. You know, how long will we put that down and walk away? Gambling, you know, there's all types of things. And so food and bad behaviors, we're addicted to that too. So we need to learn some of these methods. Tonight, this is a little different venue for Michael. His clients in the daytime are a captive audience, and they can't leave while he's talking. So you could if you wanted to, but I don't think you will. I think you're just going to find it very informative and helpful. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Michael Cole.
Guys, thank y'all for being here. One of the things that I find fascinating about what I do is from a cognitive aspect, when we begin to talk about behaviors and we begin to talk about why we do the things that we do, and we've done them for so long that sometimes they become part of our conditioning and our baseline. And I talk to the men all the time in the prison about, why are you a criminal? Why do you do the things that you do? And a lot of times they shake their head and they look at me and they say, Mr. Cole, I have no idea. I've been doing it so long. I had a gentleman today, it's on my caseload, I met with him. He's 36 years old, started his criminal career when he was 13 with his dad, running across and back and forth from the border. His dad was probably one of the largest methamphetamine dealers in the area, and so they manufactured the meth on one side of the border, and his dad put him to work as a drug mule, running methamphetamine back and forth across to the border because it was less conspicuous for a younger man to do that. And he'd been doing it so long, and he's been in the penitentiary, and he finally got to the point that he said, Mr. Cole, I'm just tired of thinking the way I think and acting the way I act, but I have no idea how to stop it. I have no idea. And so the important thing that we must understand is that when we make decisions and choices about the things that we put in our mouth and the things that we eat and the reasons that we do them, cognitively, as a clinician, I understand that there's really no difference between the choices that that man makes, his criminal behavior and attitudes, as well as our cognitive and behaviors that we do when it comes to overeating, stress eating, You know, we eat because we're lonely. We eat because we're by ourselves. We eat because it's Monday. We snack because it's Tuesday. We snack because Jeopardy's on. It's 7 o'clock. I have to have my Bluebell. The thought processes are not any different. That's what we're going to get to tonight. Our perspective, why we think the way we think. And if I can get the men in the prison, every man that's on my caseload, to begin to take a hard look at, why do I have the behavior? Not what the behavior is. What is the result and the underlying effect of the behavior? That is the first step for me to begin to help them exact some change in their life. Okay? And so this man ended up talking for a long time. And we finally drew to the conclusion at the end of the conversation that he wasn't so much addicted to the methamphetamine that he used. He was addicted to the stacks of money that he got to stack up. He was addicted to standing back and looking at the stacks of money. He told me, he said, Mr. Cole, I don't drive fancy cars. I don't have the home and the luxuries and all the other things that you see glamorized on TV. He said, I would do all that. I would sit it on a table and I would look at the stacks of money. That was his addiction. But he's in the penitentiary for actually selling the dope. He's in the penitentiary for moving the dope back and forth across the border. But what his addiction was is the money. So that's what we have to get to when we're talking about addiction. And we have to be honest. The other thing is we have to learn to finally be honest with ourselves. That everybody sitting in this room at some point in time probably made a choice to say and rationalize that and say, well, I'm really not me. I go to work every day and I work hard and I do a great job. Not me. But I promise you, everybody in the room is addicted to something. Absolutely everybody in the room is addicted to something. And so we want to help with that. Maybe you're past the point of saying the food is not the issue anymore, but I still have the thoughts. I still have those thoughts that come in my head in the middle of the night. I had a young man in the prison yesterday. We do a thing where we have an encounter circle, and I'm very proud of him because he held himself accountable. He stood up in front of 68 other men in the prison and began to cry. And that's not easy to do in the penitentiary. And he said, I just keep thinking about using. And I don't know why. I just keep thinking about using. I'm not even around it. It's not like the regular prison where we can sneak the drugs in and do those kind of things. So why do we think the way we think? I think a lot of it has to do with our perspective, our view of what we see, and why we see it a certain way, and then how we take that information in, disseminate that information, and then what we allow it to play out in our lives. Okay, so we're going to talk about our perspective and what that looks like. So I have a question for you, and I'm going to pose a quick question for everybody in the room. Okay? Perspective. And if we use the word perspective and actually what it means and those kind of things. Can you go back one, Micah? Go forward one. Okay, perspective. I'm big on words. The last little seminar we did, I used the dictionary. I think words have meaning. We have watered them down, so I think it's important. Okay? Perspective. A specific viewpoint of view in understanding or judging things or events. Okay, so we all have a perspective of things, right? Or maybe an opinion of certain things. Okay? So if I were to poll everybody in the room, and I were to ask them, okay, your perspective on something. Okay? Debbie Pack, what is your perspective, okay, on, I have to be cautious about what I ask. But what is your perspective on, we'll pass on that. We'll come back to that. I'm not going to put you on the spot. So, okay? So what we're going to talk about is how our perspective and our reality and how one shapes the other. Okay? So we're going to do a little experiment. Are we at that point, Micah? Yeah. We're going to do a little experiment. What's your preference? Everybody in this room has, an idea of what they like when it comes to food. Who in here looks at that bowl of chips and says, oh yeah, I like chips. Maybe some of you aren't. I'm a chip guy. If we were on the road with the boys and we all stopped off somewhere, I'd go in and I'd get the bag of chips. I just like chips. What's the next one, Micah? Okay, I got some heads going. Chocolate. Okay, what is your perspective? What is your perspective? When you see that picture, what comes into your mind?
Yum.
Eat it.
Yeah, really.
Eat it.
Yeah.
Pleasure?
Yes.
Pleasure. Okay, so your perspective of chocolate, you associate that with pleasure.
And also calming, perhaps.
Oh, okay, very good. Calming. So in the past, you would eat the chocolate, and your perspective, when you would go, even before you were at the chocolate, your perspective of the chocolate is it was something that you enjoyed, you had pleasure in, and it might calm you down.
Antioxidant.
For a minute.
And, well, that's the dark chocolate. Is that dark chocolate on the screen?
It's pretty dark.
That's dark chocolate. It's just a bad photo. It's really milk chocolate.
All right.
It's milk chocolate. No, I think it may be dark chocolate. Okay, what's the next one, Mike? This is Micah's. Guys, and this is Michael Petra. He's a dear friend of ours, and this is being videotaped, and this is going to go out for other workshops and things like that. So if you speak, your voice is going to be on that. We can edit it out if you're uncomfortable with that. No. Okay, we'll march you up here, and you got to stand in front of everybody. No. Who gets that? What's your perspective of this? Who's an ice cream person? Micah, what do you think? When you see that? What's that perspective you have of that?
It's almost bedtime.
Okay. Is that your routine? Ice cream bedtime.
30 minutes before I go to bed, I eat some ice cream.
Okay. What does that do for you? So what is okay? It does something for you.
It said does something to me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What's the next one? This is supposed to be a bowl of nuts. You know, like caramelized pecans or pecans. I'm a Texas guy. I say pecans. Okay. Anybody enjoy that? No. We could have had other things up there. What is it, Debbie Packett? What would be up there that would be that thing that you would go, ooh? Cake.
Do not put sunflower seeds up there.
Okay. All right.
That's what I have to have.
Okay.
Or used to have to have. I don't
Okay.
know what for.
Sunflower. See, is it the salt? What is it? Is it the busyness of
I
eating
don't know,
them?
I just love sunflower seeds.
What's your perspective of sunflowers? What do they do for you?
Make me fat.
That's the reality part of this now. That's the reality part of this. Okay. But Debbie, what do you think? What's your thing?
I like pickles.
Pickles. But pickles are part of the
You can
program.
have pickles.
Yeah, all the pickles you want. Okay, but let me ask you this.
Maybe it's
When
fried
you walked
pickles.
in, you were totally different than you are right now. What was going on? What was part of that to get you to that other part several months ago?
Anything was good.
Anything was good.
It was comforting.
Okay. Her perspective was comfort. Food was comfort. Anybody else? Miss Bergen. What? Comfort? Honey? Yours? Would you say a little bit of comfort? Okay.
I like the
Michelle, how are you back there? Good to see you, man. How are you? Okay. Sir, what do you think?
Fun, pleasurable.
And I got to tell you, sir, I didn't recognize you when you came in. I am going to push you up. That is a term we use in the penitentiary for great behavior. I'm going to push you up because this, I didn't recognize him when he came in. I'm telling you. It's incredible. And then I realized you're part of the program because you like the rest
He
of
doesn't
us.
know me from prison.
Yeah, no.
Stories straight.
Yeah, really. That was in another life.
Let's put some perspective.
Yeah. But I noticed your pants were kind of, I could tell. Absolutely. Well, congratulations. That's great. What is your perspective when you think of food and those kind of things?
Very pleasurable.
Yeah.
Very event-oriented.
Okay, event-oriented. Culturally as well, we have cultures that are around the idea of food. One of the men today talked to me about the fact that his mother was that mother that it was always a festival at the house. And when the festival was going on, it was always the men outside cooking, the ladies inside making all the preparations, the guys doing the barbecue and that whole thing and how it mixed and went together. It was always just something that was really pleasurable for everybody. Right? So our perspective. Here's another question. You probably have an assumption built into the perspective as well. Okay? Now, not so much about food, but about other people. Right? We have perspectives. We see it on TV. We're so driven by the media and what we see on TV. It could be a political figure on the TV. It could be all kinds of things, and we have a perspective about them. We certainly do it in the criminal justice system. Most of you would say in this room that if I walked in with 25 guys on my caseload and lined them up here, wearing the white that they wear, looking the way they look for the most part, your perspective of them would be what? Most of them you would probably think are pretty bad guys. It's not somebody you want having living next door to you. And I can tell you this much, I'd have half of my caseload living next door to me. I mean that. There's half of my caseload I'd be happy to have as my neighbors. The other half, but I know their case. You know, I know the reality of that. So, Micah, if we could go back to the chips. Okay. So, what's your preference? Is there another food group that has not been on here that is somebody's preference? Really, it's time.
Food.
Mexican food.
Food.
All right. I like this. We have a friend of ours that chips and hot sauce are his deal. A good friend of ours that's in the program. Chips and hot sauce, and I've asked him, what do you think about when you see chips and hot sauce? What bells go off? He goes, all of them. All of them go off, Michael. What is it about Mexican food? What is your perspective of Mexican food? When you go to eat, what's your favorite restaurant here in town to go eat Mexican food?
Well, any Mexican food.
Okay. Any.
That's not, my drug of choice is all that sugar.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
just, like you say, all foods.
It's greasy.
Mm.
Yeah, it's the grease and the
Yeah,
salt and the
cheesy.
cheese and the,
Okay. Wow.
and then you throw
Another
Olive
thing
Garden
here
and the
that's-
pasta and the,
Yeah. Pasta. Who in here is really pasta?
that is really my favorite.
Yeah. Ma'am, are you pasta?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like the
Pizza.
pizza?
Yeah.
Don't get me started on pizza. I'm with you. Man, pizza. Okay, so, but here's the thing. So, we need to have a shift in our perspective of how we view food. Would everybody agree with that? That's easy said, right? Michael, that's easy said. And how do we do it? What does it look like? How do we begin to make those things happen cognitively in our brain? I was running night before last. I dropped the boys off for their swim class, and I went for a run, and I have to listen to music. I mean, it's just kind of, so maybe I'm not thinking as much. And there was a song on, and it was a great song, and it talked about that we eventually have to overcome the war of the mind and the battle of the heart and the hands. The war of the mind and the battle of the heart in the hands. And that's true. It all starts up here. Everything begins and ends right here. But it's how it plays out through our heart and our hands is the important thing. We make the choice to have the sugar. We make those choices, but we understand clinically that addiction is about the chemical responses in the brain. It's about what happens in the brain. And that's where the education has to come in. You have to educate yourself on what's going on up here. You have to be successful. Okay? So when you see chips, when I see chips, one of the shifts for me at least is that for me to see chips, I have to change the thought for me. I no longer try to look at chips and see the salt and the grease and all those kind of things. My thought has to be, is this beneficial for me? We talked about last time to meet the goal. Is this beneficial for my goal? Or is this detrimental for my goal? We'll talk about thought-stopping techniques in a little while. So if you go to the next one, chocolate. And I love it. The antioxidants. The rationalization of using the chocolate. Right? Now, guys, let's be honest. Is chocolate bad? No.
Small portions.
In small portions. But when you see chocolate, if chocolate's your thing, and you know it's your thing, okay? I like dark chocolate. My wife will attest to that. I really like dark chocolate. You know what I see? What my thought process has to be when I see chocolate? You're going to have to go work out a lot to get that off. And so I have a choice to make. Am I going to go work out a lot and go ahead and eat that chocolate and meet my goal? Or am I going to, I'm just not going to have the chocolate. It's that process in the brain. Okay, the next one for Micah is the ice cream. Okay, same process. You know, and look at this ice cream. You got the waffle cone, you got the syrup, a little brownie in here, I think. Is that brownie in there, Micah?
Yeah.
Yeah, even with a cherry on top. We were putting this together and we were looking at all these slides of ice cream and we were like, that's the one. Okay, and then the last one is the bowl. And I like pecans and mixed nuts and those kind of things. See, I'm that salt person and you're sugar. Okay, so we're going to go on from here. Now, reality. Webster defines this word as the quality or fact of being real. Okay, and then the third definition, the quality of being true to life. Okay, can we go back to perspective real quick? Okay, a specific point of view. Your point of view. Perspective. Okay, or understanding and judging things or events. Okay, you judge those things, you judge the events, you make a determination whether or not the pasta is beneficial, whether or not in your mind it's just pasta. It's not bad for me, right? We've always heard that, just a little pasta, carbs, right? As an athlete and runners, we always heard carbo load the night before a big run. It's really not the best thing you can do, okay? It's really, we've learned now that it's not. So if we go forward again, I love this. Is reality TV true?
You hope it's not.
Exactly.
Where do you find those people?
Exactly. But why do we call it reality TV?
That's what people believe.
Thank you.
Believe it's true.
Because if we can sit back in our houses and look at that other stuff and think that's reality, our perspective of that, there's people that their perspective will be that that's reality. And that's where this is going. Because if we allow those thoughts and those perspectives to be our reality, they will be our reality. It's that simple. I'll tell you a quick story. There's a young man today, he's 20 years old. Been in and out of the penitentiary several times already, and he's 20. He has a very explosive anger issue. And he asked me, we're in a whole group, and I'm doing a class, and he goes, Mr. Cole, I just don't understand why I can't get a handle on my anger. I don't understand why it takes anybody just to say something to me, and I will be explosive. And it's right. I mean, Wendell could be there just talking and just having a nice conversation and say, hey, it's a pretty day. And this young kid would just go off on him. And I looked at him and I said, sir, why do you think that is? And his response to me was, it's just how I am. It's just who I am. Have y'all heard that before? I'm just this way. I don't have a choice. For the people that have lost a lot of weight in this program, is that true? No. It's not true. It's his perception of himself that he is an angry person. Now, does he have anger issues? Absolutely. Are there things he has to work on? Absolutely. Are those things that we will do to help him work on those issues? And he said, well, Mr. Cole, what do I do? I said, you know what you do? Is you stop saying that this is just how you are and who you are, and you have an anger issue, and you begin to tell yourself, I'm going to work on my anger issue. Which one sounds better? Which one, cognitively to yourself, you're going to begin to have success with? And he wouldn't say it out loud. The other men around him, he was a younger man, the older men around him said, you need to answer Mr. Cole's question. And he would say it. I said, I want you to do this for me. All night, just tonight, for a small period of time, until I get here tomorrow. And I'm going to come in tomorrow morning, first thing, and come to your dorm and find you. And I will. And he knows I will. And I'm going to walk up to him and I'm going to say, how many times last night did you say that I'm going to work on my anger issue? I'm going to begin to try. And what does that do to our perspective? Does he begin to see himself in a different way, in a different light, in a different tone? Absolutely he does. And when we begin to say to ourselves about our food and the choices that we make, you know what? That choice is not the best choice for me. There's another choice I need to make. 30 minutes before bedtime, the ice cream that I'm used to having, and I can pick on Micah, you know, he gave me permission in a written statement. No, I'm just kidding. But when Micah says, you know what, I'm going to make a better choice for me because I count and I matter and I want to be successful. Those are the things that we're talking about when our perspective is put into place. So important. The voices and the tape that you play in your head. There's a technique called play the tape. We tell it to the men all the time, especially with anger issues. Okay, this young man needs to begin to play the tape out of what's going to happen. If he gets explosive again, what's going to happen? And he'll say, well, I'm going to get in trouble. No, what could happen? Play that tape out step for step. And he does it for me now. And he plays that tape out all the way down to the fact I said, instead of you being in the big dorm with all the guys and everything else, you're in the little bitty room with the little bitty box to look out of. That's playing the tape out. It goes from one extreme to the other. And we have to do the same thing with our choices when it comes to food. We're either going to be imprisoned in that little bitty box to the choices we make with our food, or we're going to begin to play that tape out. And sometimes we've got to play it audibly out loud. And you got to look at the food and you got to say, that is a choice that I'm not going to make today.
I'm looking at what you just put up there. Is reality TV true?
Uh-huh.
I think, and it just kind of dawned on me as you've been talking. I've always told myself at my age, nobody's still thin. And I'm not as big as some people. And I think I allowed that to be, so it's okay. And at my age, who still wears
A size 4.
Yeah, or 6.
6.
Who wears that?
Yeah.
Get real.
Yeah.
And it just dawned on me. That was my perspective. I mean, I'm looking at everybody else. Everybody's overweight. So I'm not as big as some, but I'm not skinny like I used to be either.
And so all of a sudden, your perspective became what? Your reality. Your
Wrong.
perspective became the quality of being true to life.
But I'm just thinking that's
Yeah.
really not right. I mean,
No.
because now I can look and I still see thin people, and I'm thinking, they figured it out a long time ago. I don't know what
You
they've
know
done,
what?
but they figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to watch a clip real quick. And I want y'all to watch this.
This is spooky.
For you now. Adam Sandler gets to babysit his 2 little, a niece and a nephew. And he is definitely not equipped to be able to do that successfully. It's kind of Adam Sandler's little shtick a lot of times in his movie. He's playing the dumb fool or the joker or whatever it is, you know, the fool. But he at night would tell a bedtime story. He would make up a bedtime story to the kids. And each day after that, the bedtime story would come true. And so this part of this scene is that it rained gumballs. And so his truck, I think it actually breaks down under this bridge, or he stops or something, and it begins to rain gumballs. Only on his truck. Nobody else saw it. Nobody else was around. And it just rained gumballs on him. So what was his perspective versus his reality? Anybody? What do you think? Was it really raining gumballs? It wasn't his world. Right? And isn't that the only thing that matters? Is what was happening in his world at that time? It was raining gumballs. So that was his reality. His perspective was the story the night before that he told and said out loud. So what is the story that we tell ourselves? That, you set it up perfectly for me, ma'am. That, say it again, please.
When you're this age, everybody else is big, and so it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No.
No, it's not true. But we say that's our perspective. And it's just not true. So if we're really true and honest to ourselves, we lie to ourselves consistently all the time. We do. Okay? And it's called denial. Okay? So,
Oh, that's good.
that is my clinical definition of denial.
Yeah, we
Didn't
need a copy of that.
Even though I am lying.
Wow.
You didn't know you were lying. You didn't know you were lying to yourself, much less anybody else.
Yeah. I think
We've been
that's-
lying to ourselves for years when it comes to our weight, when it comes to our health, and when it comes to these issues that are so important for us. Because we rationalize it and we tell ourselves it's okay. My mama was this way, or my dad's this way, or I got it in the family, or anything else. If that's going to be your perspective, and the thought processes that go through your mind, it will be your reality. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. Okay? Didn't even know I am lying. So I got another video clip, and I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite all-time movies. Okay?
She's shuffling right around here somewhere. Just keep quiet. I don't want to wake her up. You know. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, look who's here. Look who's
Hey,
here.
Mom, what's going on?
What are you doing? What happened?
No, nothing.
What happened
I
to
hit
you?
something on the road. Give me a thing.
What happened to him? What happened?
How are you, sweetheart? How are you?
I haven't seen you so long. What happened for you? I hate to see him that way. And you too. How are you? What happened?
doing up
Tell
so
me what
late?
happened. Well, he came in, you came in, I figured, you know.
What time is it?
I'm so happy to see him. Look, go inside, make yourselves comfortable. I'll make you something to eat.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. We're gonna leave.
No, I
Just get me
can't sleep,
something.
not
We're
while
gonna
he's
change when
home.
we
No,
go out.
I haven't seen him so long. I want to see him. Go, you just go inside.
This stuff is great, but it's like lead.
So tell me, where have you been? I haven't seen you. You haven't even called or anything. Where have you been?
Mom, I've been working nights.
And?
Well, tonight we were out late. We took a ride out to the country, and we hit one of those deers. That's where the blood came from. I told you. Jimmy told you before. I'm gonna Anyway, you know, it reminds me, Ma, I need this knife. I'm gonna take this. It's okay?
Okay, yeah.
I just need to pull
Bring
it
it
up.
back, though, you know.
Well, the poor thing, you know, I hit him in his, we hit the deer in his paw. What do you call it?
The paw.
The paw,
his
the
foot.
The hoof. The hoof got caught in the grill.
Oh.
I gotta hack it off.
Ooh.
Ma, it's a sin. You gotta leave it there, you know. So anyway, I'll bring your knife back if they do that.
Anyway,
Delicious. Delicious.
thank you. Why don't you get yourself a nice girl?
I
Get
get a
your-
nice one almost every night, Ma.
Yeah, but get yourself a girl so you could settle down. That's what I
I
mean.
settle down almost every night, but then in the morning I'm free. I love you. I want to be with you.
Why don't you settle down?
How's your friend Henry there? Henry, what's the matter? You don't talk too much.
Why you talk a little bit? Be quiet for me.
You don't eat much. You don't talk much.
I'm just listening.
What's the matter? Something wrong with you?
You remind me of when we were kids. Comparis used to visit one another, and there was this man. He would never talk. He would just sit there all night and not say a word. So they says to him, "What's the matter, Compari? Don't you talk? Don't you say anything?" He says, "What am I going to say? That my wife 2 times me?" So she says to him, "Shut up, you're always talking." But in Italian, it sounds much nicer, you know.
Nudo content.
Yeah, that's it.
What's that, man?
Nudo means he's content to be a jerk.
Ah.
Well,
And he doesn't care who knows it. He's content.
Did Tom ever tell you about my painting?
No.
Look at this.
Ah, it's beautiful.
I like this one. One dog goes one way and the other dog goes the other way.
One is going east and the other one is going west. So what?
And this guy's saying, what do you want from me? Guy's got a nice head of white hair. Look how beautiful with the dog. It looks the same.
Looks like somebody we know.
I mean, without the beard. No, it's him. Oh, it's him. Holy.
idea behind that, and if you've seen the movie, they have a dead man in the trunk, or partially dead. They go to mom's house, 2 a.m. in the morning, to go get a knife, or whatever, or a shovel actually is what they were looking for, to be able to dig the hole to put the body in. So mom wakes up, hadn't seen her son. There's a guy bleeding to death in the trunk, and she makes some food. And mom just loves the boy, Tommy. Gangster, the whole thing. You think mom is in this for the reality of really what her son is? What's her perspective of her kid? What's her perspective of her son? She still loves him. He's a great guy. Moms, we get that. But is she really in denial about her kid? Just a little bit. So they proceed later to leave the house and go out, and the guy's alive, and so they stab him, shoot him, and bury him and put him in the hole. But they had a good meal before they went because mom made it for them, right? A little bit of denial going on there. And we do the same thing in our own life. It could be about all kinds of things, but what I want to talk about tonight is, what are the lies that you're telling yourself? What are the lies that you've told yourself in the past? Because we still have to deal with them. Okay? One of the lies that I told myself for a long period of time, and I don't mind talking about the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic. It doesn't bother me one bit to talk about that. One of the lies that I told myself for the longest time was, because of the things that happened in my childhood, I was entitled. I had some really bad things happen to me. So when those feelings and those emotions came on, and I had a client describing to me as waves of emotion. And that's exactly how I felt. When he said that to me the other day, it was like, rang a bell. And I think I described it that way to Gene in the past. As these waves of emotion would come over me. And my perspective was, you know, I've been hurt. I'm damaged goods. And so I have to go, I'm going to go and do these things to cope and deal with those feelings. And what we've learned is a lot of times we overeat and we stress eat and we do all those things to deal with these waves of emotion that come over us. From things that have happened, from experiences, from just being frustrated. So we have to learn to deal with these waves of emotion. Because if we let these waves keep coming, we'll cycle in and out and not be successful. And we want you to be successful for the long haul. We want you to be successful for the rest of your life. I do. I want to see you be strong in your mind function and be able to deal with these kind of things. And so one of the techniques that I firmly believe in is called thought stopping. Okay? And we'll spend the rest of our time here because this is where we put the meat on the bone. Tell the guys this in the unit all the time. Okay, you've been asleep. Okay, the guy's hot in there. I mean, it's sweaty. You've been asleep. It's time to wake up. And I'm not saying that to y'all. But this is where we put the meat on the bone. And I tell the guys this all the time. I want to leave you with something. When you walk out the door, I want to give you something you can go home that you really mull over. Something that you can take with you. So, thought stoppers. What are they? How do they work? Great, but how can they help me, right? I'm here for me. It's cool to be selfish in this right now, be selfish. Okay? How can I use them? When do I use them? And why do I use them? Okay, so let's start at the top. Thought stoppers. Anybody have any idea what thought stoppers are? At all? Micah, what do you think?
It's when you kind of say yourself to stop from doing whatever you're about to do.
Eating the ice cream 30 minutes before I go to bed. And what is the thought when you really, 30 minutes before you go to bed, when you're in there about to dip it out?
There is no, I mean, it's like, I'm like,
it's habit.
Yes, I need to go to bed at 11, so 10:30. I mean, I've already got it figured out at dinner time.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I can't wait till 9:30. I go to get some ice cream.
Okay, it's 6. And so I've got 3.5 hours.
Don't remind me.
Okay, so now we need to go to 6 o'clock. Now for Micah, what we need to do is go all the way back to 6 o'clock. Not at 9 o'clock. When he says, I've only got 3.5 hours. Clinically, I look at that and say that's the beginning process for me to begin to work at is what is it, when you're at dinner thinking about the ice cream. And is that real? I mean, honestly.
That's real.
Okay.
Because I don't eat dessert at dinner.
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of save it. Just being totally honest.
No, please. That's okay. Good. Okay. So a thought-stopping technique needs to begin for Micah then, not at 9 o'clock, because at 9 o'clock he's not going to stop. Yes, ma'am.
The way I like myself is that I have to have all this ice cream today, because tomorrow I won't eat any.
Oh, wow.
I've got to have all this cake and ice cream today, because tomorrow I'm going to start on a diet.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Day after
Yes.
day after day after
After
day.
day, because tomorrow ends up with, well, I'll do it the next. Yeah, that
That's it.
great procrastination thing that happens. Yes. Okay, honey, why don't we'll do a little confessional. What did you do the week? What did you do the week before we started this program?
Okay, so we started this 3 days before Christmas.
3 days before,
3
right?
days before Christmas we started this. So the week before, I had a party every day. Every
She
day.
did too.
Yes.
And what would I do?
He thought I was ridiculous. Because he did. He kind of already started going a little bit healthier. But I thought, hey, everything's going to change next week. So I'm just going
Right.
to go all out. I'm just gonna
So
go
what was
all
your
out.
perspective then?
That it's all going to change and this is my last chance.
Right.
Okay? And I might as well gain a few more because then my loss will be bigger.
Whoa!
I'm gonna stack it.
Don't do that, Micah, before you start. Okay? Right. Micah and his beautiful wife are going to start on the program as well. So we will get to see this wonderful transformation happen in his life. Yeah.
That's why I'm piling it up tonight.
Yeah. You said 9 o'clock, can't get here. Woo! Hour and
8,
15
9,
minutes.
10, 30.
Yeah. Hour and 15 minutes. So thought stoppers are exactly what Micah said. There are these techniques that we develop, and everybody has one that you'll develop tonight. I wanted to leave you with something because here's the great thing about it is I know that I could spend time with each and every one of you, 15, 20 minutes, and I'd get to understand cognitively the we developed this last time. You either rationalize, you justify, you martyr yourself. Which one are you? You remember that from last time? So develop an understanding that that's the baseline in which we start from. Debbie, do you remember which one you were? You're a martyr. Okay, so Debbie's a martyr. Oh, poor me. I deserve. I was that way. Debbie, I martyred myself. Honey, would you agree with that? I martyred myself because of the child abuse that happened in my life. I martyred myself. Okay? It was not my parents. It wasn't anything like that. But I martyred myself. I used that. Okay? And it all started up here. Okay? So I martyred myself. Okay? So, how do they work? What happens with thought stoppers? So it's a technique developed that each and every one of you will leave with tonight. Because it depends on what your baseline is. Okay? Are you anybody in here a rationalization person? Rationalization, procrastination kind of go together in the aspect of...
Oh, I can procrastinate very well.
Okay. So your techniques will be a little bit different than a martyr. Because it has to be specific to you, right? Can I just wave a magic wand and it all work independently and just kind of blanket everybody? No, it doesn't work that way. We are these incredible creative people that have come up with these techniques and conditioned ourselves over years and years of saying these things to ourselves. Okay? We have. Okay? So, how do they work? Because they work because they're independent and they're specific to who you are. That's how they work. Okay? How can they help me? Micah, if I were to say, now I don't know, but I'm guessing, Micah is an incredibly creative person, very visually artistic. He's a wonderful guitar player and he's got a beautiful voice. Okay? So probably, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're a little bit of a justification guy. I work really hard, I do these kind of things, and so I'm a little bit justified in...
I'm a little bit of that, and I'm actually a little bit rational too.
Okay.
Because I'll eat it, or whatever it is, and I'll go, you know, that's like an extra half a mile tomorrow.
Say, oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah.
I'm already thinking about tomorrow, what I'm going to have to do to make it up, and then usually I don't ever make it up.
That's the honest truth.
Really.
Yeah, really. Life gets in the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we say to ourselves, okay, how can they help me? What is it about this thought-stopping technique that is important for me, Micah? It's 6 o'clock when I'm sitting at the dinner table and I'm going to make the decision about the ice cream. So, let's do an experiment, just you and I, in front of everybody.
Okay.
So, when you're sitting at dinner, who's at the table?
All 4 of us.
All
My
your
wife
family.
and our 2 kids.
Light conversation, talking about your days. How soon into that dinner are you thinking about ice cream?
Probably about 3/4 of the way.
Okay.
Because I'm almost done. And I'm not going to eat anymore. I'm not going to go for seconds.
I'm saving room.
Saving room.
You guys are laughing because you're. Here's a saying: if you spot it, you got it.
Yeah.
If you spot it, you got it. I'm with you. Okay, so how quick do those voices come back after you hear the first one? Okay, I've got to stop. I need to stop eating now because 9 o'clock. How repetitive do they get?
Well, I don't even have to. It's 3 years habit. I don't even have to think about it anymore. I just know I get 1 plate of food, and then I know it. Whenever I decide to go to bed, 30 minutes out, I'm
So
hitting
you
it up.
got, we call it entrenchment, but it's entrenched. It's there.
Oh yeah, it's just
Wow.
it's just as almost bad as my tobacco. When I
Okay.
was doing Skoal and Copenhagen, those types of things, every time I got in the car, didn't matter if I was going around the block.
Once the door
As soon
shut,
as the door shut,
put the key in the ignition. Oh, yeah. Okay.
that's what I did when I drove.
Okay.
So it's almost that bad.
Okay. All right. So, what for you, when you were a kid, worked for you from your parents to not a whooping, not a smack upside the head, but verbiage that worked for you as a child that would get you to get your attention?
Really, it wasn't my parents.
Well, who was
It
it?
was my grandpa would just give me a look.
Okay, visualize that look for me.
I can't.
Still creeps you
yeah.
out.
Demons will come out.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
There's your thought stopping technique right there. That's no joke.
No, I could.
Okay.
Yeah, that would stop me from walking.
Yeah. Okay. Honey, what was the one thing that your father could say to you to get you to,
I'm disappointed in you.
I'm disappointed in you. Oh, yes. I'm disappointed in you. I am disappointed in you, Gene, for just stress eating again and not loving yourself to not stress eat. And you need to hear your daddy's voice. Debbie, what was the thing? Do you remember your parents well enough? What was it that the thing your parents or somebody of great influence would say to you to get your attention? Maybe it was a teacher in school.
Probably my grandmother
Okay, what was it?
to go get the switch off the tree.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's a great one. And what did she call you? Okay, Debbie, I didn't know if it was, something like, a more of a pet name kind of thing. At that point, it wasn't pet name. It was Debbie.
It was Deborah Sue.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. And I want you to say exactly out loud what she would say to you.
Deborah Sue, go get the switch off the tree. I must spank you.
Okay. And would it bring tears to your eyes walking out to that tree?
Because his daddy would spank me when we got home.
You got the double whammy.
Yeah.
I had a mama like that. If I got it at school, oh my goodness, was I getting it at home? That's your thought stopping. That's what's going to stop. I want that voice, the exact words, the exact cadence in your mind. It was my grandfather. It was Papa. It was Papa's voice. And still is his voice in my head. And her voice now. No, for real. No, not at all.
Okay. It's a positive thought stopper.
It is.
Okay.
It is a positive thought stopper. And we can have positive thought stoppers. Right now, we need to develop ones now, and I don't know where each of one of you are. This is a pretty broad stroke. I think that we need to develop those ones that were the shock and awe, the quick ones that are going to catch you When you decide, I'm going to have tomorrow, it's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay? The thought to say, no, I can't do it tomorrow. I've got to do it today. I can't do it tomorrow. I've got to do it today. I've got to stop today. Those thought-stopping techniques. Now, for some of us that have had pretty good success in the program and have lost a lot of weight, there's other areas in your life as well that you can do these same things. You can utilize these same techniques to deal with fear and anxiety, to deal with worry. My wife is a worrier. She comes by it naturally because her mother, it was modeled for her in her home growing up. Okay? What was modeled for me in my home growing up was something totally different. Very just, God's got us, it's all good, don't worry about it, you know, kind of thing. So there's a big difference in us in that area. And it's caused difficulties in our marriage at times because I'd be like, it's all, don't worry about it, it's all good. And you're like, no, it's don't worry about it. And we've had to learn to pull those things together. All right? We've had to learn to pull those things together. So we can have positive thought-stopping techniques, negative ones that get us quickly, ones that build for positive thoughts. One of the times I remember that Gene said one of the kindest things to me ever that I still think about in my recovery from alcoholism is, honey, you're worth stopping. You're worth stopping all that. And I thank her for it. And I can't be more in love with her for that. And I look and stand where I'm at today and being able to give my life back to these men that need somebody to tell them the same thing. And I do. I walk out of the dormitory every time when I finish teaching, or I do a one-on-one counseling session with them. And I'm counseling this man or these men, and I tell them, if somebody hadn't told you today that somebody cares about you and loves you, I do. And I got young men that will look at me like they've never heard those words before. And I don't think they have. I don't think they have. Okay? So, how can I use them? Okay? How do I use these thought-stopping techniques when I say, I can't wait another day? There can't be another tomorrow. Okay? How do I use them? What is it? And that's what I was talking about. At this point, if you continually have the same behaviors over and over again, you have to develop that thought stopper that says, I can't wait till tomorrow, and it has to be loud, and it has to be something that catches your attention. So, for you, ma'am, what is that person or that thing or that event in your life that you feel like that would really be something that would ring loud when you say it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm also having memory problems, you understand.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't remember when I was a kid very well.
That's fine. It doesn't have to be when you were a child.
However, my daughter just pointed out that when I was a little kid, my mother always held it over me and she'd say, you're going to look just like your Aunt Madeline.
Oh, wow.
Is that a good one?
That is very negative.
Who was a very hefty lady.
Yeah.
You're going to look just like your Aunt Madeline.
Wow. How did that make you feel at the time?
It probably didn't bother me. I don't know. I felt belittled, of course.
Sure.
But I also had a funny childhood.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's try something real quick if we can. This is your daughter that you're with. How cool is that? I want you to look at your mom in the eye, and I want you to look at her. And I want you to tell her that she is worth all the things that she's trying to do, and that she can't have another tomorrow. You say it out loud.
Have another tomorrow.
And you're worth stopping.
Now,
You're
this
worth
one
enemy.
has
No,
some
hang on.
She has some backbone, and she
Okay.
doesn't eat sugar. She
Mhm.
doesn't drink Coca-Cola,
Mhm.
and I do all those things, but she
Okay.
doesn't do that.
How did that make you feel when she told you that?
Well, it was very encouraging, of course.
Mhm. So, when you think later on this evening or tomorrow, I can have the ice cream tonight. Well, probably tonight. You went to the seminar, and so tonight may not be the night, but maybe tomorrow. That's the voice I want you to hear.
You're worth it.
Yeah, you're worth it. You're worth it. Okay, that's the voice that I want you to hear, not the voice that says, it's okay. It's no big deal. Okay? Anybody else want to share real quick?
I think
Miss-
what it-
yes,
I'm
please.
sorry.
No.
I think what it's done for me was, I've only been in this program for a week.
Okay.
So yesterday was the first time we did the weight.
Wow.
And 10.6 pound loss in that week. Said, keep going.
All right.
So
How
that's
has your
what I do.
perspective
Keep going,
shifted?
keep going.
What was your reality when you walked in the door? What was your perspective when you
Well,
first got in the program?
When I first got there, I understood the science of all of it.
Mhm.
Why it does it? Because that's what I do for a living. Is I'm a dietary manager.
Okay.
So I understood all that.
Right.
But the thing with me was the stress. You know, like the chocolate, that would be like if something really bad was getting real stressful, it's like, oh, I'll just eat a piece of chocolate, it'll help, you know, kind of a calming sensation. But now I sit there and I think, I don't need that. So maybe I'll get my phone and play one little game of something just to kind of refocus.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing, put
Excellent.
it away and then go on. But
Yes, ma'am.
it's a good motivation when you
Absolutely it is. Congratulations.
Somewhere down the line, I was propelled into gluttony, and I don't know why. I just suddenly became that way, and I don't know why.
It's an interesting thing that we see. We see it a lot in substance abuse, for sure. And I described it, as a matter of fact, today to a group of men. It's that little bitty snowball on top of the mountain that you let go and you see in the cartoons. By the time that it gets to the bottom, what does it look like? It's massive, it's big, it's picked up all kinds of stuff along the way, but it starts up here kind of slow, and by the time somewhere in the middle it picks up a lot of velocity and a lot of speed. And that's what happens to us. We're in the midst of it, and we're tumbling with it, and we really don't see it, and others do. And we need those, you know, people, like you said, your daughter has backbone, you know, she'll tell you a little bit. She probably has told you in the past. But we all at some point have to make a choice to stop being in denial and lying to ourselves and saying it's okay to be this way, and it's not.
Well, I've never been hungry and I've never been deprived of food, but I act like it. I act like I'm never going to get another bite. And I don't know why I'm like that.
You know, that there's a series of tests that we could give you, believe it or not, an assessment test to find out those impulsive behaviors. It's called impulsivity.
Impulsive, yeah.
Impulsivity.
Impulsive.
Yes, ma'am. And there's a series of tests that we could give you. I could to just check your impulsivity and how that works and those kind of things. It's probably pretty fascinating for you. I'd be happy to do it. It'd have to be in the evening sometime, and I could bring them. So, but well, so. When do I use them? We've established this with Micah, and we've got to kind of wrap things up real quick because I want to be able to answer any questions we have. But when do I use the thought-stopping techniques? When do I hear the voice? When do I hear my dad's voice? When do I hear Papa's voice? When do you think that is? We've established a little bit. We chased the rabbit with Micah a little bit. What do you think?
When I want to have something that wouldn't be good for me.
When I want to have something that wouldn't be good for me, for example?
For example, a cupcake.
A cupcake. Okay. What phase are you on now, Debbie?
Phase one.
Phase one? Oh, you're still on phase one? Okay, I didn't, okay. Okay, so yes, in phase one, when you have a cupcake. If, you know, phase 4, can I have a cupcake? Yes, I can have a cupcake in phase 4. I'm talking in phase 1, you can't have a cupcake. So, when the thought comes in, I'm sitting at my desk and the phone's ringing at the bank and things are going crazy, and I think about a cupcake. That cupcake just pops in my head, right? Well, I don't know where it comes from, and there's that evil little person that put it there, but the cupcake just pops in. That's right then when I hear my grandma's voice saying, Deborah Sue, go to the tree and get the switch. Does that cupcake sound pretty good right now? No. It's real simple, okay? So, why do I use them? Why do I use these thought-stopping techniques? Redirect the mind. Because I've not been successful in the past in doing that. I've not been successful in the past. We talked about our belief window last time, and we've got to reshape that belief window so we meet our goals, right? It's all about attaining the goals. And specifically, your goal here is to be successful in your weight loss. Okay? This is what this is about. Okay? So, when do I use them? At the table. For Micah, it needs to be, it's so much of a habit for him when he sits at the dinner table, anytime he needs to see and hear the voice. Not tonight. You're worth not having the ice cream to meet your goal. You're worth more than that. Your kids are worth more than that. Your wife is worth more than that. Your husband is worth more than that. Okay? That's why we use them. These techniques work. They've worked in my life, they've worked in Jean's life, and they've worked in others' lives, for sure. Okay? So, when you hear the voices and they come, right then and there is when you use them. And it's very important to establish your own. So everybody tonight, do a little bit of homework. Write down your thought-stopping voice or whatever it is, or that person, or that place, or that thing. If you've been highly successful thus far in the program and you're really running and gunning and things are really good, you can begin to use more positive ones, like a mother that said something to you that you remember that it was incredibly positive for you. You know? And sometimes we need to use those instead of the switch voice, right? But you use those at times as well. You know? Those are the ones. But those voices that will drown out the sounds of the other ones that come at us.
I can't think of any negative thing in my childhood at all that anybody ever said to me, or a tone of voice, or I had an older brother that he wreaked havoc, and I watched him and I thought, I am not going to do that. And so I've always been very timid, more going to be a good girl.
Is that true? Okay.
And I still am that way. I still watch my brother and go, are you really?
Where are you in the program? What phase are you on, ma'am?
I'm doing maintenance.
You're in maintenance phase.
The positive thing is, my husband has been very supportive in this, and he said, I loved you when you were bigger. He says, but I really am proud of you for sticking with this. And he's told me that several times. And the big thing was, oh, I'll do this with you. Yeah, he would eat a salad and eat 3 Little Debbie's right there beside me. I'm like, oh, come on.
Thanks for the help.
He was being so
Thanks for the
supportive.
support. Right. That's why the husband and wife team works so well, Micah, if you're wondering. But so let's do something. So when your husband says that, what was the feeling that you had when he said that to you the first time when you were doing the program?
It's worth it. I mean, yes, I know he's going to love me regardless of what size I am, but that he's proud of me that I'm doing it.
What was your feeling? What was your feeling?
Gee, this is nice.
Gee, this is nice.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to say.
Yeah.
Gee, this is nice.
Yeah.
See, did you see the smile on her face?
Yeah.
You did. See that? That right there. That right there keeps us motivated and keeps us going and keeps us having that feeling of, gee, this is nice. Gee, this is nice to jump on the trampoline with my kids, my grandkids. Gee, this is nice to mow the yard for the first time, Debbie Pack.
Or to go anywhere and have people say, what have you done? You look great.
Exactly.
It's like, out of the blue, you don't expect it.
Those are the for the guys that are just in the beginning of the program, that's the motivator. That's the things I want you to hear. That's the importance of it. And it works. I promise it works. Okay? So does anybody have any questions or thoughts or comments about this at all?
Chelsea, that I worked with and had worked with for like 2 or 3 years, she left on maternity leave. Just about the time I started this, she came back from maternity leave, hadn't been to the bank, and she didn't even recognize me. And
probably walked right by you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't. And I couldn't be any more prouder. Because I remember the day you walked by me at the school.
Yes.
I'll remember it forever, Debbie Pack. Yeah. And that was just God working in your life that day. You know, I am a believer. I'm a cross follower. And I'm truly believing that that was God just working in your life that day. You know? For me to stand where I was at. And for some reason, just the thought popped in my head. The thought.
I never go pick up my granddaughter at school.
Yeah.
This one day, I had to go pick her up. And there was Michael. And I asked, are you still doing your training?
Training,
Yeah. And the conversation went from there. And that
you need to talk to my wife. Yeah. So we linked our perspective and understanding, linking perspective, that our reality sometimes is really not what it is. And sometimes our reality is what we have made it. We make our reality. through the things we think, through the things that we say, and the way that we act. And so we can change, those are the things that we can change. That cognitive aspect of understanding that, you know, I can say to myself, just like that young man in the prison says, I'm going to work on my anger issue. I'm going to work at being successful in this program. There is no tomorrows. There's today, and I can be hugely successful. And that's the other thing I want to leave you with. Everybody, I want you to begin to say, I am worth this. I am worth this. The people that care about me, the people that are so in love with me are worth it too. My wife is worth me taking care of myself and being the very best I can be for her. My boys are worth that. What I model in front of them and the things that I do. My wife will say the same thing. Absolutely. Most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life. It doesn't matter. But the things I've seen in her and the way that I've seen her carry herself and the glow and the shine that she has now is indescribable for me as a husband. And that's worth it. Day in and day out. All right? So I'm very thankful and happy that you guys are here. And I will say this, that y'all bless me very much because y'all help me understand me. Okay? Cool. If anybody have any questions, I'll be happy to stay and visit for as long as we need to about ideas or thoughts or anything like that. Okay? Thank y'all for being here. We'll do another one of these next month. Okay? And each one of these are going to build on. They're going to be like little bricks that we put together to build this whole idea of this behavioral change that needs to happen. Okay? And then this behavior modification. And the last in the series, week 6, is about the behavior modification model that we can build for you. Okay? So, all right?